Boy intentionally placed his hand near the wild wolf's mouth, urging it to bite and taste while it's still fresh. Without hesitation, the wolf bit down. His companion, upon seeing this, quickly grabbed a rifle and rushed outside, shouting at the wolf. The wolf, frightened, immediately released its grip, but the boy signaled for his companion to lower the gun. His companion, surprised by the gesture, doubted the boy's sanity, wondering if the wolf had scared him silly. The boy, however, raised his arm again, showing his companion that the wolf was only holding his hand without biting. Seeing this, his companion felt as though he were dreaming, and finally relaxed. The boy had a history with this wolf. Many years ago, he was once a carefree little pup, with a mother who loved him dearly. But one day, while his mother was hunting, she was tragically shot by a hunter. The little wolf used all his strength to crawl back to the den, just to check if his mother was safe. He ran out to greet her as soon as he smelled her scent, only to find his mother lying on the ground, dying. She gave him one last look, and gently closed her eyes. The young wolf didn't understand the meaning of this. He thought his mother was just tired. He licked her fur, hoping she would wake up, but she didn't respond. Confused, he lay beside her, quietly waiting for her to wake up. Time passed, and snow began to fall. The cold finally woke the little wolf from his slumber. At that moment, his mother was already covered in snow and ice. He finally realized his mother was gone, never to wake up again. He howled in sorrow, unable to do anything else. Without his mother's care, this frozen world was impossible for a young wolf to survive in. Suddenly, he saw a pack of wolves in the distance, and without hesitation he rushed towards them, hoping for shelter. But his small size worked against him. He couldn't even reach the snow piled along the way. After several tumbles, he was exhausted, and watched helplessly as the wolf pack disappeared. Once he regained his strength, he began searching again. He came upon a creek, where he found some fish stranded in shallow water, but he had never learned how to hunt, so he could only watch helplessly. The fish didn't jump into his mouth. Finally, he ended up drinking some fish soup instead, unable to find any proper food. The little wolf was starving. He had to gnaw on tree bark to survive. Luckily, he discovered a rabbit perched in a tree ahead. Without thinking, he charged at it. At that moment, all he could think about was food, and didn't notice the trap under his feet. With each jump, he fell right into a snare, and was suddenly lifted off the ground. The little wolf had turned himself into prey, now hanging next to the rabbit in the air. He had never experienced anything like this. Fear spread through him instantly. When he saw humans approaching, he froze, too scared to move. The chief picked up the little wolf, and marveled at its sharp white teeth, because it was a rare wolf-dog hybrid. With a little training, it could become an invaluable work animal. The little wolf was taken in by the chief and brought back to the tribe. The chief named him White Fang. The little wolf, still confused, began his new life in the tribe. Though reluctant, he was glad to have a home. Years passed and White Fang grew up, no longer the little pup who drank fish soup. He had become a skilled hunter and a hard-working laborer. One day, two gold prospectors arrived in the tribe. The main one was named Jack, and at first glance, he was captivated by White Fang's striking, brooding appearance. Taking advantage of the chief's distraction, Jack stepped forward to pet White Fang, but White Fang wasn't too keen on being touched. The chief quickly intervened. Jack explained he just wanted to pet the wolf, but the chief believed dogs were for work only. Animals were animals, and there was no need to humanize them. In the chief's eyes, White Fang was just a tool for labor, nothing more than a replaceable resource. Among the tribe, he was isolated. The other dogs only feared and rejected him. At night, White Fang often stood alone by the river, howling to express his loneliness. Though he had food and shelter here, he had no friends, no family, only endless orders and a sense of not being understood. The next day, Jack decided to take a walk in the forest, unintentionally discovering that White Fang was secretly following him. When he approached to say hello, White Fang dashed into the woods. Jack, confused, continued on his way. Suddenly, a brown bear rose up from behind him. Realizing the danger, Jack sprinted for his life, but the bear pursued him relentlessly. Its speed was astonishing, forcing Jack to crawl and tumble to escape. In the nick of time, Jack pushed his body to the limit, leaping into a pile of trees for cover. But the ravenous bear would not give up. It began digging frantically at the ground, and, feeling close enough, extended its claws to grab Jack's hand, attempting to pull him out. At that moment, Jack felt deep despair, thinking that he was about to meet his end. In this critical moment, White Fang emerged from the woods, just as the enraged bear stood up. White Fang, terrified, immediately backed away, and ran off. But this was all part of White Fang's plan. He circled around to position himself between the bear and Jack. No matter how the bear moved, White Fang stood firm, guarding Jack. The bear, unable to find a clear attack point, became furious, and decided to take out White Fang first. But White Fang wasn't going down without a fight. He bared his sharp fangs, eyes gleaming coldly, facing the massive creature before him. White Fang didn't flinch, perhaps fearing the arrival of reinforcements. The bear finally backed off. White Fang turned around to check Jack was safe, and then left, disappearing into the wilderness. Jack, alive thanks to White Fang's courage, had narrowly escaped death.